Days before FBI Director James Comey reopened the investigation into Hillary Clinton's private server, a group of lawyers held a private forum critiquing Comey's handling of the investigation. One of those attorneys shared the story of a Navy SEAL who almost lost his military career entirely and security clearance for having a photo of his text on his cell phone of one page of the training manual. So after all we've learned, why wasn't the former Secretary of State held to the same standard for doing what seems to be a lot worse? Here to react is the federal security clearance attorney and who represented that SEAL, Shawn Bigley. Shawn, you first off, tell me about the Navy SEAL and what he did wrong.
Morning, Brian. Well, this gentleman was someone we had the privilege of representing about a year ago, and he was a dedicated sailor, risked his life repeatedly for the United States, but he had one momentary lapse of judgment in which he decided to take a cell phone photograph of a page, a single page in a classified training manual for the purpose of being able to study that later. And when his commanders found out about it, he was immediately out-processed from the Navy. They moved to revoke his security clearance, and he spent a year fighting that decision that we were ultimately able to get overturned. So now he's back in action, but man, what a year it was. It's a bad decision, but my goodness, how many times you take a picture in order to study it in different locations? It seems to be a resourceful move, but it jeopardized security technically. Having said that, now fast forward to Hillary Clinton. Secretary of State, private server, didn't tell anybody, set it up, 33,000 deleted, all the facts that we've been going over. How do they compare? Well, I mean, frankly, the way in which the Hillary case, has played out has been a tremendous contrast from what we've seen and what we do see on a day-to-day basis in defending our clients. Brian, I have to tell you, we represent over 200 people around the world every year, American soldiers, spies, diplomats, good, honest people who have lost their security clearance and their career for doing things that are far less. And so when I heard about this decision initially, I was shocked.
So the whole thing we heard from James Comey, the FBI, in July was, well, it's about intent. She set it up for convenience. It's about intent. She didn't intend to deceive. She didn't like the State Department system, State.gov system. So does intent matter?
Well, that's the irony here, is the short answer is no. If you look at the classified information statutes, really all that is required is negligence. And so it begs the question, what was her purpose in setting this up? That's something that I don't think has ever adequately been answered by the Clinton camp. Either she set it up for the purpose of her own convenience, which means she placed her own convenience over national security, or she did it for the purpose of hiding her actions from public oversight, from congressional scrutiny, in which case she placed her own politics over national security. I don't know which one is worse for her judgment.
Shawn, in your business, it's all about precedent. The next time you get a client that takes a picture on a nuclear submarine to send home, or that takes a picture of a manual just so they could study it, and they end up in a lot of trouble, will you go back and talk about the Secretary of State in order to better serve your client?
Absolutely. And this is something that I've raised previously in my writing, the horrible precedent that has been set by this case. You know, most of these cases are done behind closed doors. There really isn't a public precedent out there that we can use to leverage in these cases. This is the first. This is the first where we have somebody that high up the food chain who has consciously and willfully disregarded their security obligations. And so really, you know, these cases are all about character. They're predictive determinations about somebody's honesty, their integrity, their judgment. And so to make those determinations, the government looks at the track record. And in this case, you have a horrible track record, but if she's elected in just a few days, she's going to be coming in with that along with all of her people, who will then be ostensibly running the very agencies that are denying everyone else security clearances.
And every lawyer is going to say, what about her, instead of I'm with her? What about her? What about my guy? What about my woman, my ensign, my sergeant, my captain, who took a picture on a nuclear submarine to send home, and next thing you know, they're in jail for a year, and your Navy SEAL who almost lost his career. So this is a brand new set of precedents, whether you vote for Hillary Clinton or not. Shawn Bigley, thanks so much.